Last night, the Warriors, they got an overtime win in Dallas, but they lost Moses Moody in the process. He went down with a non-contact left knee injury just under a minute left in the game. Now, Moody was taken off of the court on a stretcher, and just a really, really tough go in what's been a career-best season for him, and certainly we're hoping for the best. The Warriors, they've really struggled, right, as they've dealt with injuries. They haven't had Steph Curry for a large chunk of the season. They've gone at just 11-22 without him. That .33 win percentage, it would put them in the range of the Grizzlies and the Mavericks near the bottom of the Western playoffs. And now these injuries, they're really starting to pile up at the absolute worst time as we say hello to our senior writer, Anthony Slater. So let's start with Steph Curry here. Where do things stand with Steph and a possible return date for them?
Yeah, I'll give you a quick weekend timeline. Saturday, they announced he's going to be incorporated into live action, contact action. That's important. Saturday pregame in Atlanta. Steve Kerr says they expect him to scrimmage Sunday in Atlanta. I talked to Steph postgame briefly, and I nudged him like, hey, maybe Wednesday, maybe Friday. And he's like, hey, I tapped the brakes on that. He's got some checkpoints. They then canceled the Sunday scrimmage. He still is yet to scrimmage. And he says he wants to come back. They keep saying he wants to come back. But the reality is he has to get into a scrimmage live action, see how the knee responds to it, because it hasn't responded that well at times, and he hasn't scrimmaged, so he will not play Wednesday, and we don't know beyond that.
Right, and there's only, time is running out. There's only so many games here left in the regular season. Has there been any word, we mentioned this before we just brought you on, Moses Moody, that was so tough to see last night, any update on his diagnosis here?
Yeah, MRI this afternoon in the Bay Area. They're trying to figure out the extent of the damage, patella, some of the ligaments, but it's bad. They know it's bad. It's going to be a lengthy recovery, and this is where this tragic Warrior season is going to bleed into next season. Jimmy Butler is going to have a rehab for his torn ACL that's probably going to last at least through half of next season. Moses Moody, at this point, you'd probably expect to miss a majority, if not all, of next season. That's a starter and their second best player we already know out for a chunk of next season. So it's problem time for the Warriors.
Yeah, chunk of next season. That's not good news here, and certainly we're wishing the best for Moses Moody. Slater, thank you so much for the updates, even if they weren't the most positive ones. To a developing story out of Philadelphia. As of last night, Paul George, he's completed his 25-game suspension by the league for violating the anti-drug policy, so he's eligible to return tomorrow against the Bulls. Philly went 13-12 in his absence, and PG, he spoke to reporters earlier this afternoon.
First and foremost, just give my apology to, obviously, the city of Philadelphia, my family, my teammates, the organization, everybody that was affected through this suspension. You know, being a pro athlete takes a toll on you, and you know, my body wasn't where I wanted it to be, and the expectation to perform because of my body not being where it needed to be. Obviously, I'm going to have an expectation for myself, and that's what, you know, led the poor decision at the time. I've said it, you know, throughout my career, dealing with mental health. I'm no superhero, I'm a human, and I made a mistake at that moment.
All right, so that was what Paul George said, and now he's available to return as we say hello to our senior writer, Tim Bontemps. This really couldn't have come at a better time for Philadelphia because they're also managing injuries to Joel Embiid, Tim, to Tyrese Maxey. So what will Paul George add with 10 games left here?
Well, Malika, what Paul George didn't say in that clip, but said later in that interview session, that he believes he's going to be able to come back and be a focal point and a primary scorer for Philadelphia because that knee that's been bothering him that he mentioned in that clip is feeling great. And the fact that he's had the last several weeks off, he's ready to come back for this 10-game stretch to end the season and be fully ready to go for a Sixer team that, as you mentioned, as we've seen so many times throughout the past several years, dealing with a ton of injuries. Joel Embiid, we could have an update later today on his status going forward. He had a workout this afternoon. Potentially later today, we'll know if he's going to be available for tomorrow's game against Chicago or sometime soon thereafter. I saw Tyrese Maxey on the court yesterday before their loss to the Thunder. He was out there working out with his left hand. He's still got a wrap on that right finger. But certainly the Sixers getting closer to healthy. And by the way, they're still in 7th in the play-in standings in the East despite all these injuries.
Yeah, and that's exactly where at this point you want to stay in that 7-8 bracket as opposed to fall to the 9-10. Tim Bontemps, thank you very much for that insight. Hey, you know what? Let's pick up the energy just a little bit. We had a lot of injury updates, so let's end the show with this. Look who's on Monday Night Raw.
Derek White, Boston Celtics shooting guard in the house, and he did not come alone. He brought the coach, Joe Mazzulla, head coach of the Celtics, ringside tonight in in Boston.
He wants him to bleed, Malik.
No one makes me bleed my own blood. Fun moment there for the Boston Celtics. I think Joe, he's actually fighting there. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Go over to the big board and meet someone who knows. Gosh, you walk fast. You're like a New Yorker walk.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm saving seconds.
Meet some precious seconds who knows something about winning in the NCAA tournament. So again, this is a look at the field here, Danny. This is where things currently stand. But America, we need to get these two their Final Four picks.
Well, Sean knows a little bit better than me, more than I do. But I'm gonna start off right here. We're going to go in the East here. We're gonna start with the Duke bracket. And if you know anything about me, I'm not picking Duke.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Johnnies.
That's shocking.
I'm going to go with the Johnnies. They've been playing unbelievable basketball. Tino's got them hooping and playing hard, so I'm going to go with them for this one. What you got over here?
How about the fact St. John's, 21 out of the last 22 games they have won. All right, let's go with Michigan State. I love guards. We talk about guards. Jeremy Fears has been awesome this NCAA tournament all season long for Tom Izzo.
I would have picked them as well. For the next one, I'm going to go Nebraska, just because I didn't have Iowa making it this far. I can't see them. They could have a Cinderella moment, but
we love Cinderella.
So
should be noted, they were 1-8 in the regular season against top 25 teams. The only team they beat, Nebraska, out of the top 25 teams. They did lose to them in the last matchup, though, but I love your pick of Nebraska here.
Owes the one.
All right, where's this game played?
That's
Houston.
Okay.
So who do you think I'm going to go with in that one?
I think you're going to go with Houston.
Kelvin Sampson, they just win. They're disruptive defensively. As great as Illinois has been, I'm going to stay with them.
Here we go in the Final Four. So let's see what you got here. What you got? The Johnnies and the Michigan State. You probably had Duke. I know you love Boozer. He's polished, but I'm going with the Johnnies. What do you got here? Do you think Michigan State?
That's exactly what I had. So you and I
Really?
All right.
Together on this one. I'm going with Michigan State. Again, guards win in March, right? That's what we always talk about. In this one, the one Achilles heel is they can get stuck offensively, St. John's. So their point guard play isn't as elite as Michigan State. Tom Izzo in March. I'll roll with Izzo.
I like Michigan State, too. Is this game still in Houston?
This game is still in Houston. Who are you rolling with?
I'm going to roll with Houston.
Yeah, that is a very smart pick.
But these were my Final Four picks anyway, so this is a good start for us here. We're going to go to the other side, see what we got. I know, Malika, you had Arizona, so
I do.
I don't know. What you got over here? Arizona, Arkansas.
All right, well, I want to come back on her show, so I'm going to go with Arizona.
There you go.
And if I was Richard Jefferson, I would unbutton my shirt.
Please, we don't need.
Love you, buddy.
We can only handle
I'm
one.
not going to do that, but you look at Arizona, they're the most complete team in college basketball right now. Their ability to move the ball, Jaden Bradley, his experience. I think that matchup of Bradley having to defend Darius Acuff Jr. is going to be awesome. Braden Burries has continued to move up the draft board.
I'm going to go with the second one. I'm going to pick Purdue solely because my wife went to school there. Normally, I don't have a lot of belief in them. They're always a top-seeded school, and somehow it's this point. But this year, I think they're going to get it going. So we'll see what they got. So
all right, I'll make this one quicker for you down low. Michigan.
There we go.
And their length and Dusty May's team, they've been the lead all year.
All right, I'm going to go Iowa State. So we got those groups here. Now, Final Four. You got, who you got?
All right, I've got Arizona moving in.
Of course, yeah, Arizona.
And then down here, if Joshua Jefferson was healthy, and he's not, and he's their best player for Iowa State, I would have Iowa State pulling off the upset, but I can't. So I'm going to put Michigan in there.
Keeping the one seeds. All right. And so we now have our Final Four here complete.
This is actually my Final Four, too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah. So who did you go with originally? Because this is a reset.
Yeah, originally I had Houston.
Okay.
Making it.
And playing who?
Playing Michigan.
Okay, I would differ with you. I would put Arizona in over the top of Michigan. This would be my national championship game. And for the first time since 1997, before Richard Jefferson, back when Miles Simon said national champion.
He has Arizona. Richard's going to love this segment a little too much. Sean, we appreciate you. Hey, coming up here on NBA Today, some more unfortunate injury news for Golden State. We do have the latest on Moses Moody and just how close Steph Curry is to returning. And with